All right, fingers crossed. Everything's going to stay in one piece. Hey, welcome to the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk. We're back. All the power is on. All the streamers are streaming. Hopefully, I got Demazzing. How you doing there, Mr. Masaracchio?
What is going on? Happy Sunday.
Now, if you'll notice from your monitor, you're crooked now, dude. You're off center.
Am I?
You pulled your chair up and knocked yourself off center.
I'm never on center anyway.
Yeah,
I'm always a little bit to the right.
Centered.
I'm always a little to the right.
Wow, have we got a lot to talk about. Big, huge injuries in the last 18 hours.
A couple of COVID calls, too. A couple of guys sitting today.
Yeah, by the way, everybody, it's still out there. You know, for those of you that like to do stupid things like go trouncing through the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show without a mask on, wall-to-wall, shoulder-to-shoulder with humanity. That was me. Fortunately, we have cleared the 10-day mark, and I am not infected, at least not symptomatically.
Is there still COVID out there, I guess, for
yes,
the common folks?
Sorry.
I thought
there's still COVID out there.
Athletes and stuff are only catching COVID, it seems.
Yeah.
At least that's all you hear about.
Right. Well, but here's what's really funny. Okay. You're still catching people who are out there that are like, oh, I just got a little sniffle. I'm okay. It's like, listen, anytime that you're symptomatic of any sort of illness right now, just nowadays, maybe 2-3 years from now, you can still take it for granted that it's a head cold. But if you start feeling crappy and you start coughing, get a little achy, oh, I just got the flu. No, you got to go get checked. We've got to limit the spread of this crap. That's the only way we're going to get it to go away, and then we can go back to having head colds at work again. Yeah.
Yay.
So anyway, enough of the disease report. Big Ben decided to self-report his symptoms, and they said, oh, look at that. You happen to have the cooties.
Yes, he is ill. Yeah. But that's okay, though.
The cooties 19.
Mason Rudolph's going to start today for the Steelers.
Which is more of a lateral move nowadays?
Nowadays, for sure, the way Ben's been. You know what I look at is Vegas moved the line so far about 1.5 points.
Ooh.
So Ben does still have an impact, I guess.
The wise guys are loving him.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of impact he has, but I guess it's worth 1.5 points. And that's a big deal, though. 1.5 points to shift on a line is huge. You ask any professional gambler that understands lineology, that may not even be a word, but let's make one up.
Lineology.
They would tell you that, if you're going to even grab 0.5 point in one way or another in your advantage, you're taking it. But
give me some of that. That's some good stuff there.
Certainly 1.5 points. That's kind of a big move. But Mason's going to start today. We still stink. The bottom line is that even though Vegas thinks it moved 1.5 points, I think you're closer to the fact that you're not going to get much of a drop-off. I mean, Najee, the only fantasy pieces in that game that most people are talking about from the Steelers side would have probably not even been Ben anyway. You're not starting Ben at this point. But it would have been Deontay Johnson. It would have been Claypool if he's playing. It would have been, obviously, Najee Harris. I think the receivers probably get knocked down maybe a small bit. But I think Najee Harris and the target share and volume share and all that stuff, a lot of checkdowns, the conservative style, his positioning probably still stays the same. Now, in your season longs, you're still starting all these guys because that's why you drafted them. But you're certainly a little bit more hesitant, at least from, I think, the receivers today, in terms of the volume at least. Now, maybe he locks on to, one of those two guys. Maybe Deontay has a big day. Maybe he gets in the end zone a time or two. But that's what's going to have to happen. It's probably going to be an either-or type situation for the Steelers today.
Well, I mean, you're peering across, looking at my look of consternation on my face. Because, why is your face like that? Well, I'm just checking because I'm not seeing where we are webpage is not available. That would be odd. That would be strange.
Can they hear us?
It's not even that they can hear us.
Can they see us?
It's not even that they can see us. It's that our YouTube feed is on. We are live, I think. Okay.
If you're listening to us and you can hear our voices, text me and let me know that you can hear our voices and see our faces. More or less my face, not his, but one of our faces.
YouTube is good.
If you can see our face, please let
Hi,
me know.
YouTube.
Hello.
Thank you for streaming us, YouTube.
Yeah, but Facebook is
But
where
our
it
good
should.
friends at Facebook seem to have a fucking problem with us.
Oh, you just cursed.
Listen.
I got $1.
I am done. I am done playing with these people.
Yeah, YouTube has just been not very nice.
Done
I mean,
messing around
Facebook's
with
been
us.
really, really bad. All right, so I'm just going
You
to
go ahead and stretch for a minute while I share our YouTube page around.
fight like hell.
Fight like
Fight
hell.
like hell. All right, well, again, that's some Steeler talk. We know who they are. We know what's going to happen pretty much. They got the Lions today. The Lions haven't won a game. And, wouldn't you be surprised if they pulled off one today? We joked just before, at least I joked.
You'll joke.
Kind of a little satirically, but about how the Steelers, in their recent history, last, 10, 15 years,
Right.
make these backup quarterbacks look like heroes in certain spots or situations where, we should win this game today. I mean, the Lions haven't won yet. There's a reason for that. Now, they're not I was going to say they're not a bad football team. Yes, they are a bad football team. They're you can't be good if you're 0-8. They're an under-talented team, but they've played hard all year. They haven't lost a game by more than 8 points. So ironically, like we mentioned, the line opened up at 8, which makes sense. But this is way too much time on that game. All right, listen, Lions keep the game close. The Steelers are terrible, but you're starting all your guys that you've drafted, like we said, certainly in daily, but in DFS, I am not on anybody from either side in that game because it very well could be a defensively tight, low-scoring, kind of gross, typical game. Plus, the Steelers have one of the lowest scoring offenses in the league. I think we're the only team with a winning record that has a negative point differential, perhaps. Or at least it's close.
Bastards.
So, more or less, I think we're averaging, I don't think it's a negative point differential. I think that we're just averaging under 20 points a year in terms of scoring offense, and that's just terrible. So, anyway, that's the Steelers. Couple of big games today. What I'm interested in seeing, too, is that Cleveland-New England game. Because last week, again, this NFL's been crazy. You got teams losing at home. You got the Rams losing in a spot they shouldn't lose. You got the Bills losing. So week to week, again, it is a guess, but let's guess for this one. Cleveland looked really good last week. I'm not going to say Baker looked good, even though they had a few big plays.
You're going to begrudgingly say that Baker looked good.
Well, I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. That's what they have him. That's what Stefanski is trying to do. Okay, they run their offenses that have a lot of 2 and 3 tight end sets. Everything builds off the run, and that's clearly what happened last week when they blew that game open with Peoples-Jones and that big 70-plus yard touchdown pass he caught last week. They were in a 3 tight end set during that play. And again, what happened is the single high safety bit on one of the 3 guys on the high side that just did a little post pattern. And it gave Peoples-Jones enough time with that single coverage with no safety on the back end. Again, Baker hit him in full stride. And there you go, 70-yard touchdown pass. Now, does that mean that the Browns are in an elite passing offense? Not by any stretch. But everything works off the play action for them. So
everybody hits a long ball every once in a while.
Well, I got news for you. The Patriots, they're not going to let that happen today. Nobody's getting behind the Patriots defense. Okay, Belichick still does that as good as anybody. They don't give up a lot of big plays.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be in the trenches today. I mean, I think New England's going to try and, with Mac Jones, who's been really good so far this year, conservative, not turn the ball over, just do what he does. And if Baker does the same thing, it's going to be between the 20s.
Use their committee of running backs,
which they've done fairly well this year. So
today there's J.J. Taylor gets to come up off the practice squad.
Yeah, because you got no Harris and
no, Harris is out,
right?
And
could it be is Anquan Bolden? Who's the Bolden on their team?
It's not Anquan Bolden.
He's an old
Anquan
receiver
Bolden's been retired for like 8 years.
Which
now.
Bolden is it though? There's another
Brandon
kid,
Bolden.
Brandon Bolden. So
who's been around a while?
He has journeyman guy.
And
so
the other kid, I can't for the life of me, I can't remember his name, but he's questionable even now. Although he's expected to play cleared concussion protocols. Last week was a bad week for concussions for the New England Patriots. So.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of injuries this year in a lot of teams, but that's an interesting game for me this week. So again, can Cleveland continue to show you who they need to be, which is a team that's going to smash mouth type football. They're going to run you in those heavy tight end sets, and they're going to just run the football. And again, work off the play action, in spots. Landry, I think, may have a part in this today, hopefully, because again, they know who they are now. Oh, Beckham is gone. There's no more pressure in terms of having to get it to the elite guy. That's not who they are as a team. They line up, they hit you in the mouth both sides, and it's not so much about getting Baker to throw the ball 30 times a game. Okay.
No, listen, I always found that to be a weird situation in Cleveland. that really was Odell Beckham Jr. campaigning for targets so much that it hurt Baker Mayfield's pride or his feelings? I mean, what was that actually happening? Because I mean, I seem to recall that OBJ started off with a fairly sensitive quarterback, a guy who was deeply in his feels, Eli Manning.
Yeah, but he made sure he got on the ball. I mean,
Right.
Eli
I
knew
mean,
the
Eli
difference.
was really good with his composure.
Yeah, but plus two,
But
he was also, this is 5 years ago, and
Right.
players do drop off. Not everybody's Tom Brady. So,
right, well, I do remember one such dust-up between OBJ and Eli, and Eli essentially said, shut the fuck up
This
and
is
play
my
wide
team.
receiver.
Yeah,
this
this
is my
is my
fucking
team.
team. As simple as that.
I'll say this,
Yeah, that's
though.
right. I'm dropping more F-bombs.
there are always players that send that once you get labeled as such, whatever that such is, if you're a loudmouth, if you're a bad teammate, it's
Right.
very tough to get rid of that stigma. Nothing in the last several years, certainly since he's been to Cleveland, have been red flags. I mean, not like the guy's on Twitter and he's saying all these crazy things, and that's not who he is. He is Flash, I get that, but he's been Flash without the performance over the last few years.
Yeah.
So who are you blaming it on? Now, again,
Well, his dad blamed it on somebody.
well, he
obviously.
sure did in that situation. But again, you can
gonna get my daddy.
Odell can justify that by being productive now and,
Yeah.
and moving on. Although he's in
Yeah.
a system where they have
That's
a
true.
lot of weapons out there. But then again, we'll get to that too. They lose a key piece too. They lose Robert Woods.
And
Odell, it's like a slide right in type of thing.
Yeah, but still, watch out for was it Van Jefferson today?
He's been
He could
really
be a
good.
sneaky,
Yeah.
sneaky DFS pick. But
Well,
I digress.
All right. Well, since you mentioned him, let me tell you some numbers about Van Jefferson. He was on the field 92% of the snaps last week.
Yep.
So here's a kid that, again, nobody ever sees it coming. There's always these receivers that are out there. Again, talking either DFS.
Well, he's going to get the number. He's going to get the X receiver assignment.
Yeah, he's probably rostered now in probably 80 to 90% of the leagues out there.
If they were smart.
Yeah. So, but any case, Cleveland knows who they are. That should be a good football game. And I don't know, but listen, there are 9 teams right now in the AFC that have 5 wins.
5.
Patriots, who they're playing, are one of them. So you got 2-5.
The Dolphins are only 2 games out of that.
Every game right now is about seeding, it seems, halfway through the season when you
Right.
have teams that are this close. So this is a big game today for the Patriots. I'm actually on New England today a little bit, even though I think Cleveland can, obviously what they're going to try and do is run the football and control the clock. But again, this is a time of year where, and we've seen it in the last few weeks, you got crazy shit going on in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a
Oh,
week-to-week league. And if anybody is going to be as prepared in this situation as any other coach, and we've been saying this for the last 20 years, it's going to be Belichick.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
edge here in this game to me, again, because Cleveland just never seems to continue the momentum on who they are. And again, I'm blaming Baker for that. But just a good football game today. But I think I'm on the Patriots.
All right, well, listen. To be fair, last year was a glaring example of them continuing their momentum. Okay, we're talking about winning a playoff game, getting to the AFC Championship. They won 2 playoff games. They got to the AFC Championship. They took the Kansas City Chiefs to the wire.
They did.
Cleveland almost played in their first Super Bowl last year.
I know. Since the merger. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
almost.
I know.
So as far as continuing their momentum, yeah, they have. It's been done. I mean, the only way that they continue their momentum now is get to the Super Bowl.
You cannot look even now at any team in the AFC outside of maybe the Bills. Okay, it would have been Tennessee minus Derrick Henry. Their front four, their defense has been so good. That's the reason why they're winning games. It's the defense for
And I'm not
Tennessee.
gonna argue with that.
Man, that front four is nasty, and that's all they send, which means they got 7 guys back there covering 3 most
Yeah.
times, and they're doing it up front, getting pressure. So that helps the teams tremendously.
They also have good backups. They
They're
rotate
deep.
some good guys too.
So
but
when you're that good up front defensively, it can cover some of your
Sure.
areas where you're not so good. Now, losing Henry's huge. I mean, that's not replaceable.
how isn't
But
it huge?
they can laterally shift maybe a little bit on offense, again, continuing somewhat with the play action because they have to, because that's what makes Tannehill so effective.
Yeah.
But again, relying on that defense just being so dominant. So very interesting. Do you want to throw any other game? Another game that caught me today is that Charger game, Minnesota Chargers. Tough to go from over here to over there.
Shootout.
We talked about
It's going to be
that.
a shootout.
I think it will be. Okay. The Chargers are historically one of the worst teams against the run this year so far. They're giving up like 180 yards a game.
So that tells me that they're going to give up a lot on the ground, maybe 2 touchdowns on the ground.
Hard to.
And then
Yeah.
2 touchdowns through the air. So there's 28.
I got points in that game. Don't know where they're coming from, but you would think since Dalvin Cook is one of the best running backs in the league and the Chargers cannot stop anybody on the ground,
Right.
that Dalvin Cook is going to be a pretty viable play today across any format, whether it's DFS or it's in your season long.
Right, 'cause
Plug and play.
Let's remember in the NFL, okay, you have an average of about 12 possessions a game. 12.
Okay.
With turnovers, you get 13. On a rare occasion, 14 possessions a game. Okay, and in spite of all of Minnesota's foilables, Minnesota is scoring on half their possessions in every game, like 5-6 possessions every game. Whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, they're scoring half the time.
Yeah,
That's
I like
a
to
pretty
look at
prodigious rate.
That's an interesting
But it's
stat.
because they've been in a lot of shootouts.
I would like to use instead of possessions, just number of plays.
Right.
Because you can have 12 possessions and have a lot of 3 and outs and doesn't do any good.
Sure.
But if you're running an average of, let's say, 7 plays per drive,
Right.
Which is probably a little bit high. I would say most of the times game plays come in somewhere between 55 on the low end to maybe 75 on the high end. Maybe a shootout. So you're in that range. So obviously, you're trying to maximize, snap share they call it, and percentage of plays on the field.
Careful, he's using analytics. Watch out, everybody.
You have to consider all those sorts of things
Sabermetrics.
when you're certainly for DFS and also season long.
That's why I got into possessions.
Yeah, if your guy's not on the field, then he's not going to give you any points.
You went snaps. Simple. You went snaps per possession per game and average 50. I didn't go that deep.
Yeah, but that's
I still we can still eat crayons around here, but that's okay though.
You know what's amazing is when I get into these stats, you
Underwater
seem really
basket
smart. Because you're like, oh wow, they have that stat for that. How did I do? But then you're like, that opens another door for another stat. And then you're like, wait a second. And then you try and compare all these different stats, and you're like, and you end up back in the same place you started.
You go to 55 snaps, okay, and then when you get to 55 snaps, you're like, oh, so that's an average of about 5 plays per drive per possession. But now you have to think, okay, now how many of those plays is so and so in the play? How many plays does so and so have overall? And then then they get up to the snap counts.
Yeah, this is my progression.
The play percentages.
When I try and break some of that stuff down, is you try and I think the most important, and certainly
my head hurts.
The hardest thing to do. That's why it's the most important, is to develop a game script.
Yeah.
Is to look at the teams, look at the matchups, look at the injuries, look at everything that everybody else is looking at to try and determine the outcome of the game. Because unless you think you have a handle on what that is, how can you then get players and performances from that game? If you think a team's going to win by 20, you're not going to take players from the other side on offense. Okay, that's just simple math. Okay,
true.
But if you're just looking at a player and this guy's averaging so many targets per week and he's getting so many yards per catch, and you break down all your metrics and you look at, but he's in one of the worst matchups potentially that he can be in, then perhaps he's not going to get to where you think his projections normally are. That's why I always use that baseline for players.
Right.
You establish what that baseline is.
The floor.
Well, not even that. The baseline is the middle. Your floor is also something we can discuss. That's something where you think that, okay, worst case scenario, the team does lose, unexpectedly, whatever. At least you know your guy gets to this. Baseline is an average of this and the excessive numbers that he may hit every couple of weeks. Okay. So, but once you have a good handle on a player's baseline, then you can determine essentially where he is at that point. Has he been overperforming? Has he been underperforming?
Right.
Has he had 3 bad weeks in a row? He's due for a great week.
The floor is worst case scenario.
For sure, and that's a good name. That's a good gauge because you want to have comfort in that floor. You want that number to be as high as possible because you want your guy to at least get you 10, to at least get you 12, to at least get the projection that these guys, the sites all provide.
Oh.
So yes, floor is good, but what do we want in DFS? We want ceiling. You want your guy to go off,
and you want him to get close,
and you want low ownership and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, We'll get there. We have some DFS picks. Each of us have some good
Wait,
players.
before you do that, I was gonna use this as an opportunity to segue.
$3 Johnson? Or no?
No, not $3 Johnson.
Okay, not yet.
We're
We'll get to that
that's
too.
The DFS part.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. Well,
I heard $3 Johnson. First of all, for those of you out there wondering at home, what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah.
It is not some sort of low key, some sort of low key racist nickname or porn nickname.
$3 Johnson.
Racist porn nickname? No. It is. We're referring to a player who is
dirt cheap,
right. And is going to outperform his price.
He checks a lot of boxes.
But my segue was, speaking of a player who actually hit his floor Thursday night, was Mr. Mike Gesicki, tight end for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, he's been pretty good this year.
Homeboy usually gets about 5 to 7 targets a game, easily. Okay, he got 3 targets. 2 of them were nullified by penalties, and he had what we like to call in this household the big blue Tarski for a fantasy output on Thursday night's W over the Baltimore Ravens. Nothing.
Goose.
0.0.
Yes.
Drunk, fat, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
You know what? You know why that happened? Because somewhere I probably picked him somewhere.
Right.
Because I
blame you.
I am the tight end.
I benched him.
I'm the mush when it comes to tight ends.
Good. I'm going to follow that. I'm going to follow that.
I am the mush. When it comes to tight ends, it's just, especially in daily.
When you bench him, I'm going to start him.
Please. If I drop him, you pick him up and his friend. You pick them both up.
Okay.
I am the tight end mush when it comes to definitely daily. Season long, I have the only tight end I really focused on this year was Kelsey, and I grabbed him, I think, a little bit too soon, but whatever. We can discuss that for a later day.
Kelsey's been a too soon pick all year.
Yeah, well,
he hasn't performed.
I just think that
he's been spent more time on his floor than he has on his ceiling.
We have overvalued the tight end position over the last several years. Now they've been really good and they've helped some teams win, but again, you mentioned target share. You mentioned 5, 6, 7 targets for Gesicki. The average tight end target share per game is only just over 5 targets per game.
Right.
Okay, the tight end, they're run blocking units. That's what they're supposed to do majority of the time.
Gesicki.
Well, not Mike Gesicki, but most of the tight ends.
Although Kelsey puts in a lot of effort into his blocking,
right?
But it's almost standard operational procedure for whenever there is a national telecast, and the Kansas City Chiefs are on a lot of them. They always spotlight Kelsey trying to block
and mow somebody over
hard.
He ends up on the ground
or falling down.
Yeah.
The best one was he tried to pick up a blitzing safety. Okay, and he stepped out in front of the guy, and the guy's coming 100 miles an hour. And this safety is the safety for the Titans, and the guy got under him because he went, hey, and the guy got his helmet right under his arm and ran right by him, and he's like, where'd he go?
Swing and a miss,
gone.
See ya.
And immediately up Mahomes' ass. But I just want to touch on Thursday night's W by the Miami Dolphins, once again supporting my theory that they're easily 3 bad last-second field goal games away from being 5 or 6 and 4. They're easily 3 bad field goal games. Now, did they get smoked by Buffalo? Yes. Did they get smoked by Tampa Bay? Yes. That's a difference in tiers, especially at that time. Okay? But what we have seen is we have seen a slow start by this team. We have seen some cracks in the Flores approach.
Yeah, I'll say that fairly.
The Flores swag, if you will. Because he has been the culture guy, he has been the control guy, he has been the adult in the room when it comes to football. Okay? So we have seen his flaws. Hopefully, as this season progresses, as he has done in the past, that there is a learning curve and that he achieves it. Because if he does not, he is done. Done. Because what we have seen in this 6-game losing streak, right after they pull one out of their ass in New England, okay, after this 6-game losing streak where you lose 3 of those games on last-second field goals.
The London loss was crushing.
Unbelievable.
Crushing.
That was the end. That was the end of the playoffs right there.
Crushing.
And also to lose the game to Indianapolis with turnovers, which of course cost Jakeem Grant his spot on the team because they traded his ass right away. But to lose with turnovers and lose with last-second field goals against teams, quite frankly, that you should have beaten, okay? And here's where everybody's going to be like, make up your mind, Gonzo. Tua to the rescue. Tua Tagovailoa comes in for an injured Jacoby Brissett and lights it up.
I thought
Takes control of the
Jacoby.
team.
Listen, there was a couple of throws that Jacoby made that were really good in that game.
Right.
I mean, he is a good backup quarterback.
Right, but listen, the problem with Jacoby Brissett is that he's playing against behind a really bad offensive line.
Oh, no question.
Okay, so he doesn't have a quick release.
Right.
Okay, the second thing is he doesn't have the footwork that Tua Tagovailoa has. Okay, Tua knows how to move around in the pocket to get out of trouble. He's got good pocket awareness, something that we all thought that Ryan Tannehill didn't have. Remember that?
Right.
Okay. Brissett's first instinct is run for your life. And then he's got to throw on the run. Okay. That's where his accuracy kind of craters. Okay. He can still throw on the run. He can still hit receivers. But I've seen a lot of happy feet on his part. And that's because he knows he's behind a crap offensive line.
Yeah.
And he's scared to death.
Yeah. And that's, I don't blame him. The big guy's chasing you.
But Tua, the difference is that Tua moves around within the pocket well, uses his footwork.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody cover 10 feet the way this guy covers 10 feet, just dancing. Okay, more so than Dan Marino. Marino was always like a shuffler around in the pocket. This guy is it's like a little crab in there.
You're going to lose any mobility argument when you put it up against Marino. That's what I'm saying. You can pick somebody else.
That's my point.
How about Elway?
Okay.
Elway wasn't fast, but
Elway took off running all the time.
Earlier in his career, he did.
He wanted to run.
I don't mean to side note this, but I just saw, but Ben is on the virus list. Okay.
Yes.
But it's not COVID, they said. It was chlamydia. So, yeah, he needs to stay out of those rest stop bathrooms.
Oh, you don't want that.
Yeah, so he's out today with chlamydia. It's not COVID.
I
a different C virus.
Or deny that I have experienced
a different
that.
C virus.
You don't want that.
Yeah, similar diseases I read are donut dick. And yeah, it's very bad. Anyway, so sorry.
Okay, that I've had.
Yeah, Ben Roethlisberger.
But that's
folks.
from putting donuts,
Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, no, it's
Krispy Kreme, actually.
Krispy Kreme. Ooh, glazing.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh God, yeah.
Right.
Make sure underwear gets.
I don't even know why. I went
so
there.
yeah, suddenly this has gotten really nasty.
Yeah.
So yeah, once again, the Dolphins with the slow start. Part of it has to do with coaching. Part of it has to do with injury to their quarterback. Part of it has to do with their horrible offensive line.
Part of it has to do with a bigger part is missing on so many draft picks.
Yeah, but listen, I firmly believe, that whoever the offensive line coach was last year and the year before, they were offensive line coaches that helped young players develop. Okay. They have a guy this year that's never been an offensive line coach. Never. On any level. This is just some offensive assistant that I guess either Goddard or Stuttered Godsey, the co-offensive coordinators, which, by the way, they're getting a little better at it, but still, it's ridiculous because they put an offensive line coach in front of such a young and mediocre unit.
Yeah.
Let's face it. Either the talent is young or it's mediocre.
Could be
or both.
Yeah, it's an and/or situation.
Okay? You had a revolving door at center because of injuries. Okay? But how does a guy like Solomon Kindley, who played so well at right tackle last year, how does he regress? I think it's coaching. I think whoever the offensive line coach is, first of all, the whole offensive side of the ball needs to be reshuffled. I mean, just every coach needs to gone by.
But again, it has to be a talent evaluation first.
I believe that the talent will improve with the change in coaching, especially positional coaching.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only one person can turn water into wine. So
I understand that.
You've got to have a little something there first.
But I think a better offensive line coach can turn this turd into at least a palatable turd sandwich with pickles and mustard.
I believe that too. It's possible.
Okay.
It's possible.
Listen, mediocrity is a goal to aspire to. Okay. That's an aspiration for this group. Okay. How they played Thursday night was mediocre. That was their aspiration. Okay. Now they really got helped out by their quarterback because the minute that Tagovailoa came out, the minute Tua hit the field, that ball was out of his hands in 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, he was quick.
Out of his hands in 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. And for those of you who want to complain, how come they don't use Jalen Waddle down the field? Okay.
You gotta have time. Gotta have time to get there.
If the quarterback can stand back there,
yeah.
and for 3.5 seconds, not even 4, 3.5 seconds, we know that Jalen Waddle has 4.3 speed. So think about that: 3.5 with a 4.3 speed and a 40 yards.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to give him 30 yards. So you got to give him 3 seconds.
He just doesn't have the
and
time.
the quarterback does not have 3 seconds.
Well, in spots, Waddle's been so good because he's been able to catch the balls underneath, get separation, use his speed.
But now the last 2 weeks they've been pushing the ball down the field to him a little bit.
Yeah, well they have to.
Okay?
They have to.
And they're deeper turnaround routes.
Yeah.
Okay. They've moved his route tree out 10 yards.
Puts a lot of pressure on Tua because he's got to probably in most cases throw the ball before the receiver gets into his break.
Right.
Because
throw to a spot.
He doesn't have the time.
Which is, that's one of his strengths.
Yeah,
though,
for
is
sure.
throwing to a spot.
Yeah.
So one thing that we saw was the creativity in the play calling.
Yeah.
I'll say that. And I also saw Tua with the checkdowns. The 60-plus yard pass to Albert Wilson in the third quarter.
Yeah.
To a check down. Yeah. Tua's 1 yard dive for a touchdown to a check down.
Yeah.
Okay. Young man is taking. Listen, he didn't accept the captain's C on his uniform. He didn't ask for it, and nobody offered it to him. It was a vote thing. Okay. I bet you right now, if they took a vote, the whole locker room is behind him. Okay, we're seeing an evolution.
That was a big move in that direction.
The rescue.
A leadership thing.
Yes.
The whole captain thing not being chosen. You don't ever want to be alone in that argument.
Yeah.
On that side like they were. I don't think that was a good thing at all by not taking him as a captain or electing him as a captain. I know you can spin it and whenever we've gone back.
Well, he's a quiet dude. That's the problem.
Okay, but all I'm saying is this is the only team in the league that didn't have their quarterback as a captain. So I'm just saying you don't want to be that guy. Okay? There are times to stand alone. But that time is not the time to stand alone when you're looking at sort of accolades. Okay, well, whatever. Well, it's turned around. I agree with you. Right. I like Tua. That was a big win for the organization and for Tua, more importantly, even if he stays or doesn't. Because it looks like, again, the biggest
doing the kid no favor.
Problem has been consistency, availability, opportunity for him.
Right.
And he hasn't had it since day one.
That's the best ability.
Start out hurt, work so hard to get healthy to play, get hurt again. Get through that. No, different injuries, but get through that. Work so hard. Meanwhile, everything around him.
He's never played behind an offensive line this bad.
Meanwhile, everything around him is crumbling, and he's still trying to find his feet. Okay, and that's almost an impossible situation.
Well, I think we may have seen a little bit of that this past weekend.
I think it did too. So let's see how they respond in this week-to-week league, and if the Dolphins take another step forward, then you can hang your head on that. If not, it's just another week in the NFL.
I got to get a hat first. I got to get a new hat, actually.
Listen, if you find a hat for that, then fill it with nickels and give it to me.
Well, and Ed, as my moping negative brother might say, that was all defense. Because my brother, he's as negative of a fan as I am, but the defense really did.
They played well.
Step up.
They played well. They pressured Lamar.
They're back. They're back. They've been back for the last 4 games. Okay, they've been back for the last 4 games. They were really actually back for the Indianapolis game.
Yeah.
Because 3 turnovers were the story in that game. Period. Okay, 3 turnovers were the story in that game. So when you get down to it, they've been back for the last 4 games. I think that the thing that has changed is Raekwon Davis is back. So the middle of the field is a little more stabilized.
Yeah.
I think that Sealer is back, the defensive tackle, because what the pillar of that defense is defensive tackle play, defensive lineman play.
Right.
Okay, that's the pillar of that defense. Okay, once those guys are solid and a solid rotation, solid play out of that, now all of a sudden you're seeing Jalen Phillips get a lot more opportunities. How about that kid? That kid has really gone
really
all
good, too.
Jason Taylor the last 3 or 4 games.
The defense being so
Ogba is worth every penny now.
yeah. Well, I mean, listen, defense and offenses are codependent because as one gets better, the other unit tends to get better too.
Yep.
So if you can take a little pressure off the defense by staying on the field,
4 plays.
running a few more plays per,
And a punt.
per possession, it would get them to rest.
5 plays and a punt.
Listen, here's
a first
something.
down.
Here's something too. I still think, at least for the first half of the season, playing here in South Florida is a huge advantage for the Dolphins.
Huge.
They practice in the weather. The humidity is a huge factor. I think it's probably the most important factor in terms of weather, even than snow or rain or wind or anything else. Because if you're tired, it doesn't matter what everything else is in front of you. If you can't breathe, if you're tired, if you can't perform at a high level, then guess what? Disadvantage. So. But that's gone now. The weather's getting cooler. So, again, the defenses and the offenses are very codependent. As one unit gets better, the other unit gets good too. And so hopefully the Dolphins get better offensively, get more consistency. The defense is going to continue to get better. And that's going to help the team, obviously. And listen, even though the Dolphins only have, 3 wins right now?
Yes, 3 wins.
There's 9 teams with 5.
Right.
So theoretically, with half a season left, they're 2 games out of the final playoff spot.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying the Dolphins are a playoff team.
Nah, neither am I.
But I'm just telling you mathematically, with a couple of wins in today's NFL.
10-7, I know they have to run the table. And 10-7 is about the Mendoza line for where one can qualify for the playoffs. Some will, some won't.
It may not even be that high.
It's going to be that high.
All right, well, I'm just saying it may not be.
I think, I think that's the reason why they moved it. One of the reasons because they want a 10-7. They want to make sure a winning record gets into the playoffs.
All right. Well,
no more 8-8 teams.
I think it did it for revenue, but
yeah, of course.
Either way,
it's all about them dollars.
Yeah, Dolphins not a playoff team, but certainly in the mix at this point. And again, more importantly for the Dolphins is to get some momentum behind Tua, keep him on the field, confidence, all that coach bullshit speak.
Bullshits. Go ahead, you say bullshit.
Hey, bullshits.
I've already dropped like 8 F-bombs, so you can just take the filter
You curse in
off.
German, is it the same thing? Is it only 50 cents instead of $1?
Freaking Scheißen.
The German shits. So, yeah, go Dolphins, go Tua. Listen, I'm on Tua. I like Tua. I like the Dolphins a little bit from that perspective. I certainly like your coach. It's a conundrum for me this year why they're so bad. We've tried to break it down 100 different ways. There's been a lot of bad decisions. There's been some bad coaching. There's been some bad play. There's been injuries.
What we're looking at is, when we talk about the bad draft choices, okay, we look at the 9 players that have been drafted in the first 2 rounds by the Miami Dolphins in the last 2 seasons. 9 of them.
Yeah.
9.
So many.
9.
They had 38 picks the last 2 years.
Right, but they've had 9 in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Okay, in the last 2 years. Okay, last year's 5 that they had, you've got Robert Hunt and Raekwon Davis, good ball players, good. Davis is maybe bordering on excellent, bordering on elite. He's getting there.
Yeah.
He is a disruptive force.
That's a guy
in every game
that can take the next step and be pretty scary.
I think he's doing it right now.
Yeah.
I think it's been ever since he came back.
He forced a fumble last week in that
Yes,
game.
he did.
Yes,
he's a monster.
He's pretty good.
He's 6'7", 315 pounds.
Yeah, he's a pretty strong guy.
He just goes, he's like fighting a tree.
Yeah, with arms.
It's a big monster out there grabbing you and throwing you around. And these are grown-ass offensive linemen going, hey. So he's holding me. No, he's throwing you around. But the point is that you're getting solid play and you're getting better than the first rounder play out of your second rounders. Okay?
That's what you need.
Because this year, besides let's hear it for the 2 first rounders, Jalen and Jalen, Waddle and Phillips. Waddle has been an impact player on offense.
Really good.
Okay. I mean, he's the lower tier of rookie of the year because they don't give him enough splash plays, not enough touchdowns, but he's been excellent.
Right.
And Phillips, Jalen Phillips has always been injury prone. That's the first thing I said when they drafted him. I said, oh, God, he's so injury prone. Why do that? Why didn't you go get Greg Rousseau? And what's Greg Rousseau doing in Buffalo? But since he has gotten his feet under him, because training camp was a little rough for him. And that's what happens when you're going up against grown-ass offensive linemen, even the sorry asses that we had in our camp.
And are also trees.
Also trees, like fighting a tree, exactly.
Trees against trees.
So he got nicked up a little bit, and he missed the first 2 weeks. He had trouble getting on the field the third week. But from week 4 until now, it's been a steady progression. And right now, what you see is a rampaging wild man on the field all day, every
the Dolphins
day.
need it.
And he was instrumental Thursday night. The same with Emmanuel Ogba. Has that guy outplayed his contract or what?
For sure. Listen, the defense, I didn't think was going to be an issue for the Dolphins this year. It was going to be, the pressure was going to be on the offense.
Slow start.
Yeah. And
slow start.
so, again, offense starts to play better. Defense continues to play well.
Yeah.
They only get better, and Dolphins get better as a team.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, but wait, I'm not done with these first round draft choices.
More first round draft
well, now of course we've talked about Tua to ad nauseum, to the point of nausea. Okay, but Austin Jackson has been moved into right guard, which is a move that's worked with other players in the past. But you were or not right guard, left guard, but you were drafted to be a left tackle. Thank God we have a left-handed quarterback, so now we have to move the focus of that to the right tackle spot.
Right.
Where mediocre fill-in guy in 3 spots, Jesse Davis, just ain't getting it done. Okay? So it's time to move Robert Hunt back out to right tackle, where he was very good. Liam Eichenberg, who has been a disappointment so far, guy who we traded up a little bit to get in the second round. Come on, Golden Domer, get it together. All right, simple as that. We remember in the preseason he was the Rubik's Cube guy. He could do a Rubik's Cube in like 4.5 seconds. Yeah. Well, figure out the left tackle spot, pal. So what you have is a situation, and then Noah Igbenogany.
One more time.
Noah
Igbenogany. Okay, gotcha.
Listen, I learned how to say Tua Tagovailoa.
Why do the Dolphins take guys with names that you can't pronounce?
That's another. Just add that to the reasons of Chris Greer maybe getting fired next year. Noah Igbenogany is an absolute waste of a first-round draft choice, picked 30th, but a waste of a first-round draft choice. The list. Forget Austin Jackson. Austin Jackson was drafted 18th overall. He was a crapshoot to begin with, because once you get out of the top 15, they're all crapshoots. Okay?
Pretty much. Yeah.
But Igbenogany is a waste of space compared to the players
around
at that
him.
Juncture and farther down that could have been drafted.
It's so hard. I mean, obviously the draft is the science of the sport, and a lot of teams miss. A lot of players end up underperforming.
But that is a dog.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Okay, more so than Jackson, because once we got to 30, we had so many players that we could have gone with. And at that juncture, I think that was a shot at Xavier Howard. They were starting to prepare for the future when Xavier Howard thought he was going to ask for more money. Well, guess what? They caved and they gave him his money.
Yeah.
Okay, so Igbenogany was a great collegiate player. I believe second-team All-American a couple of times. He was a punt returner. He was called one of the toughest man coverage corners I've ever gone up against by some elite wide receivers.
Right.
But doesn't translate to the pros.
Benogany.
Very limited success.
Benogany.
So he's not going to get his contract renewed. Jackson's not going to get his contract renewed. Come that 4th year, bye, see you. Might cut you to save money.
Wow.
Okay.
Embarrassing. Get on that list. First round cuts. Wow.
Right.
Wow.
But
that's bad.
I will say that Mr. Greer has made up for his mistakes, with the exception of Liam Eichenberg, because Javon Holland at safety is the truth, brother.
Yeah, you can play.
The truth. We're talking about a guy who's borderline defensive rookie of the year. He's close.
It's tough to give it to a safety.
I understand.
Yeah.
But he's close.
Yeah, well,
okay. He took that game over, and they're using him more and more and more. He's getting closer and closer to that elite level of safety.
Well, the Dolphins know what they have, and that's important. So he's really, really good.
Right. Because I mean, you look at the elite safeties out there. Those elite safeties are safety blitzing. Those elite safeties are getting interceptions in the end zone. Those elite safeties are making big run stops in the middle, in between the tackles.
You guys,
and that kid is the total package.
You guys set an NFL record this past game for blitzes by defensive backs.
Yep.
in this last game. Did you
and
not?
About 8 of them were done by Javon Holland.
Didn't you have like 30 blitzes by defensive backs in this game? It was something outrageous. It set a
they've
record.
gone psychotic now.
Yeah, it's like they're just
especially
sending,
the last 3 games.
Yeah, just send them.
After the Jaguar debacle, where we didn't blitz, it's almost like Flores had a meeting.
They're like, come here, guys. Yeah, huddle
we're
up.
going to be blitzing.
Huddle up, everyone.
A lot.
Here's what we're doing. We're going to put pressure on those guys.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I've had my Dolphin 5
That
minutes.
was a lot of Dolphin. 8 minutes, actually.
Shut up, yo.
One more game
my show.
before we get into a little
Who's the name?
DFS and
Who's the
aliens. We have Russell Wilson coming back today. Burger finger. Going against Karen Rodgers, who is got his virus taken care of.
Oh, Karen.
And it's Seattle Green Bay, ugly game today.
By the way, he admitted he lied.
he didn't have to. We saw it.
We saw. I kind of misled the public.
They have things called tape, okay, and they can go back and watch them, and they can hear what you said. Okay, that's kind of how that works. Snow today in Green Bay, shocker. 2 to 4 inches, 30 degrees type thing. Guess you have to have cold weather to get snow. Wind 15, 20 miles an hour. Kind of a gross game. But again, Seattle, you have 2 premier quarterback matchups. You have 2 teams. Green Bay certainly, with their record, the way they've played. Seattle trying to find themselves still. Everything revolves around Russell Wilson. I would love to see Russell Wilson go in there and beat those Packers today.
It would be nice, but and listen, let me explain something to a lot of people out there that are like, "Oh, the weather is bad." NFL teams don't care if the weather is bad. We've seen a couple of already horrible foul weather games where teams are throwing into the wind, cross-cutting wind, throwing at it.
Yeah, well, wind is the biggest factor. Besides, we mentioned humidity for down here, but wind would be the next biggest factor in these games because obviously throwing the football and the wind gusts, you're trying to hit a spot, and all of a sudden the wind changes direction, and you don't hit your spot anymore. So wind I get. Now remember, all the factors. Advantage is offense because those guys know where they're going. Okay, you run a play and the receiver. Okay, you guys go here. On your chest. Okay, go this way. Go this way. The receivers have a plan. Okay, the defenders are reacting to that plan. So when the weather is in a situation where it's affecting footing and stuff like that, again, advantage offense because the guys know where he's going. He's making his break there, and the defender has to react then. And again, it's just advantage offense. So wind to me, outside of 100% humidity down here for most of half the Dolphins games, is the biggest factor. And in this game, even though you have the snow, you have the cold temperatures, not much of a factor. 15, 20 mile an hour wind, it kind of adds to the others. And I don't think it's going to be a prolific offensive display, especially with 2 guys coming back. When one of them having this.
I think it's going to be much bigger than everybody thinks.
I think it's going to be a good football game, but I don't know. Green Bay's the better team, I think, overall, but I'm still rooting for Russell Wilson. So I'm a Russell Wilson guy.
All right,
the Steelers have taken him.
Then let's dive into the DFS now. Okay, because we have a few recommended DFS guys.
Okay,
we'll start at the top of the food chain, and then we'll start telling everybody about their discounts, like $3 Johnson.
Right. Oh, we got $3 Johnsons today.
$2 Johnsons.
I do want to.
The price went down.
One more thing, which again, when we talk about DFS, we talk about other things fantasy related. It's game script, and this is something I heard yesterday. It was crazy. Only 43% of the home favorites have covered this year. Okay. I'm sorry, not home favorites. Home teams have covered this year. So 43% of the home teams this year have covered the spread. So guess what? You're taking a lot of guys that are playing on the visitor side. Because when you look at game script, you look at 2 things. You look at dominance, you look at garbage time. Okay. If your team is on the plus side of garbage time, which means they're probably on the road and not winning those games, you feel good for the sense that they're covering in those games, which means they're scoring points, and which means your guys on that side are probably being productive fantasy-wise. So right now, the road team seems like the way to go when you're trying to fight. If you're on the fence for certain particular players, wide receiver comes to dollars, you're going to save a few bucks. Maybe you go for the road receiver as opposed to the home receiver. Because, again, you're in positive game script. You're in situations where they're not only scoring points and covering the spreads, you only do that by scoring points, and you've got guys on that side. It's a win.
Yeah, listen, if you play home, away, listen, play your matchups, okay? A field is a field. The weather is the weather. Play your matchups. Okay, your little red and green, your little red, green, and your little black number down there. That's either green if they're horrible or whatever. Okay, play your matchups. If you have a player playing, both players are on the road, but one's playing against the 6th ranked defense and the other one's playing against the 24th ranked defense, you had better give the player playing against the 24th ranked defense a lot more consideration.
Yeah, I know.
It's only smart.
That makes sense.
But hey, if not, then at least play in all of my games so I can at least win some money.
But
so.
DFS, I've said it 100,000 times, it's zigging and zagging. So
Right.
Depends on where you're at. Certainly cash games, you want to take the high floor route, which is what you're trying to explain now, which makes a lot of sense. But in DFS tournaments, you want to zag if they're zigging and zigging when they're zagging. So
Well, that too, yeah.
yeah, and we're going to mention some zig and zags. So
More zigzags. So okay.
quarterbacks today. God, you changed my mind on
3
quarterback
times.
today. I came in all pumped on Matt Ryan today. I will say it. Again, he's been really good this year. And Dallas, I think, is like 26th or 27th against the pass. Not great.
Yeah, but look at his wide receivers. Okay, and this isn't to denigrate the guys that are playing with whether it's Gage or whether it's Zacchaeus. Okay,
I'd rather call him
they're
Zacharias.
Nobody. They're nobody. They're nobody. He's got Pitt, and then he's got a bunch of also rans. He's got a bunch Pitt and a bunch of third bananas. So what's he got?
They've been doing it with what they got. So
Right.
And again, game script wise, Dallas is clearly favored in that game. Atlanta's going to have to throw the football.
But here's the wild card. Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is very good at covering tight ends, and they're going to give him a 2-deep look down the middle. So if you think that Pitt's going to play jump ball with Micah Parsons, they have history in high school. It didn't happen then.
No.
It's not going to happen now.
I know.
And then they'll have the safety over the top to help.
I'm curious to see Pitts in that matchup today because you want to tend to think a guy like that's matchup proof. And sure, everybody's going to have their day. But I think more times than not, I think that kid's going to continue to get better. He's going to continue to shine. He's physically
He may get his today.
as anybody on the
But
field.
he may get his today, but he's going to be the only one that gets his.
So, but okay, I'm not on Matt Ryan anymore, thanks to you. I'm on Carson Wentz. So here's the thing. He's going to be a father today at some point.
Oh.
Second child on the way.
Oh.
But he said he's playing, so smart guy.
A child was born just the other day.
So he's playing today.
And a catch in the cradle, and Carson's playing. Who are they playing? Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. Now Jacksonville's not
Carson's
good on
playing
defense.
Jacksonville.
What I'm hoping for in that situation, since you've got me on Carson Wentz, is Jacksonville scores points today. Now, I was on the other side a few weeks ago when they took a big dump. When Jacksonville came out of their bye, I thought they'd be a better football team. Lawrence was showing a lot of steps forward, progression. I think they scored 7 points last week, but
Womp womp.
they shit the bed. Maybe that changes this
beat
week.
Buffalo, though. That's all that matters.
No, I know, but that was last week. But in terms of getting Trevor Lawrence, in terms of what we want is fantasy production. In order for Wentz to be good today, Lawrence is going to have to be good too. Okay, they're going to have to put points up. I'm on the opposite side of positive game script. I'm on a team that has a big lead. They're a big favorite. They should run the ball. And yet, you got me starting Carson Wentz and Michael Pittman today. Please explain.
I believe that Jonathan Taylor is going to get a little bit of a break today.
Okay.
I think Jonathan Taylor, I think that they realize that if they overuse Jonathan Taylor, that he's not going to be available in December.
Okay.
So I think what you will see is you'll see more of a split duty with Naeem Hines. Naeem Hines. Such a short name and so hard to say.
They're different skill sets, though.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But you are going to see a lightening of the workload, at least today, where they feel that they can control the game better. And then what you're going to see, which is also a reason why I've been beefing with the Guru's guru, who's not here to interrupt because he went to Publix.
Good. Get
I had
Creamer.
to send him out.
We need Creamer.
Yeah, we need Creamer.
Yeah.
What you're going to see is a lot of touches by the tight ends. I think that Jack Doyle and Mo Alley Cox have really great potential as sleeper tight ends.
You got me on Pittman today.
I understand.
And Carson
but Pittman's
Wentz.
going to have a huge day. Why? Why is Pittman going to have a huge day? Because T.Y. Hilton is coming back.
I'm taking Carson out of my lineup.
And Hilton is just going to be the guy that drags the other team's speed corner down the field.
How much is Mason Rudolph?
How much is Mason Rudolph?
All right, so Carson Wentz is in my lineup. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And Pittman.
Pittman, too. My running backs
Stack it up.
are good.
Good.
I paid for running backs today.
Well,
we mentioned the Chargers as
but they're
terrible.
so popular, though.
They
everybody
will
else
be.
has got them.
See, here's why I'm hoping Dalvin Cook doesn't, who, by the way, is my running back, who doesn't get as much ownership as he should, because he's the most expensive running back on the board.
He's still going to get people that are going to buy in.
I'm hoping he's less than, if he's less than 25% owned, I'll be okay with that.
Right.
I will be. But he could be as high as 40 or 45% owned today, which is a big number in DFS. Okay. Ezekiel Elliott is my other running
There's
back.
no X in Ezekiel.
Can I add an X in Ezekiel?
Ezekiel?
If he doesn't get 2 touchdowns today, he's going to be one of my X fantasy players. So he's not on my roster anymore. So I got him. And then I have another Cowboy in there, CeeDee Lamb. Dude, this lineup sucks. I got Jamal Agnew, Tyler Oh, wait. All right. Let's at least mention $3 Tyler Johnson. Can you tell me why you sold me on Tyler Johnson, who, by the way, you get money back when you take him in DraftKings.
Yeah, you get money back.
He's
you get a refund.
He's 30.
There's a coupon comes for that guy.
You get a free deposit bonus. He's $3,300 on DraftKings today. He's playing in one of the most prolific offenses in football with one of the best quarterbacks at this point, certainly in the history of the game.
Right.
They are minus Godwin, right?
Right.
Are they minus Evans too?
Actually, Godwin has been declared active for this game.
Okay.
Mike Evans is fine.
Okay.
He's Mike Evans. He's a monster.
Okay.
Megatron 2.0.
Okay.
But you have Rob Gronkowski not able to make it.
Antonio Brown's still out.
Antonio Brown is still OUT out.
Yeah.
And he may not be back for a while. They were debating on whether to put him on IR.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But Tyler Johnson has been getting more of a target share.
Okay. We like that.
Especially last week.
We like that.
I believe it was 8 targets, 5 catches, or 8 targets, 6 catches. There's a stat right there.
I'll find it for you.
You'll find his last week's stats.
5 catches.
5. I knew there was 5 catches. I knew that.
65 yards. He caught 6 targets.
6 targets.
Yes.
That's even higher catch rate.
6 targets.
It's 5 out of 6.
That's pretty good. But 6 targets.
He's getting more action. He is a young, dynamic wide receiver. He is a guy who has been playing with the GOAT and has been learning from the GOAT. The GOAT spends a little extra time with him, okay, to the point where the other receivers get jealous and show up, okay, because Tyler's a second-year guy. So what Tom Brady says, I'm going to stay around, I'm going to stick around, and I'm going to throw a little bit, and he all he has to do is just mention that. No, I'm going to stick around, I'm going to throw about 20, 30 balls after practice. And then Tyler Johnson is I'll be more than happy to help you with that, Tom. Meanwhile, Godwin is on the training table, and Mike Williams is on his phone pretending not to hear. Well, hang on.
Mike Evans.
Yeah, honey. I'll be home right after practice. I promise. Yeah. He's got a situation where he got a young guy that's learning and progressing, and he knows that it is super valuable for him to be working with Tom Brady and learning from Tom Brady and producing with Tom Brady. So of all the number 3 wide receivers, all the Van Jeffersons, all the number 3 wide receivers, the KJ Osbornes, okay, Rondale Moore's,
Hunter Renfrow,
Rashad Bateman's, Hunter Renfrow. Renfro's a target monster. He's a 2. He's not even. He doesn't have a.
Well, now he's a 2 with no rugs, but yeah,
right.
Certainly.
But he has no designation. He's a target monster.
All right,
so that's the kid.
Team.
$3 Johnson, Tyler. $3, $3,300 Johnson.
I got Dawson Knox, who's coming back today for Buffalo. He's been a touchdown monster.
Knox.
Pittman in Denver in the defensive spot. So what I'm looking at my lineup here, it's terrible. I got 2 Cowboys in there against Atlanta, which I kind of like CeeDee Lamb. Although I just saw they activated Michael Gallup.
Oh.
And that's another cheap guy who's going to be really cheap today who can be an option too. I'm going to have to relook at this lineup afterwards. I'm not feeling great right now. So anyway, but guys we like, or guys you like, Carson Wentz.
Guys I like.
We love Dalvin Cook, but so does everybody else. I think Elliott hopefully gets in the end zone at least one time today against that Atlanta team. And then I'm going to rework this entire crappy lineup after we're done. So,
Well, first of all, let me throw a little bit. I also like Dak Prescott today. Okay, what you're going to see, there's going to be two teams today that are going to be angry. They're going to play angry,
and the Bills.
And if they get a chance to run up the score on whoever they're playing, they're going to do it. And they're going to be playing. And I would even go so far as to say three of them. Because let's remember, Tampa lost a hard-fought game last week. So you can believe that Tom Brady's pissed off.
Yeah, it's a 4-touchdown day for them.
Okay, so look for your angry teams.
$3 Johnson, baby.
Angry teams.
Yeah.
Buffalo.
Lions are angry today. They're going to beat the Steelers.
Oh, stop.
They're a pissed off 0-8 team.
Stop it. Buffalo, Dallas, and maybe to a slightly lesser extent, Tampa Bay. 3 angry teams. And look for them to score and get your guys in there that are going to score for you because it's going to be some anger issues being taken out.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Anybody else?
I don't know.
Okay. Aliens?
I'm not feeling good about that team right now.
Oh, okay. We're not going to move on to aliens. Okay.
Yeah, no. We can talk about aliens. Always talk about aliens.
But do you have any more? Because I mean, last week with all the technical difficulties and clusterfuck that we had last week, we left a lot on the table. Is there anything that you missed?
I got a lot of notes here. I'm just going through real quick. What was interesting?
You do that.
I think we mentioned the Lions hadn't lost by more than 8 games, or by more than 8 points.
Yeah, you're actually predicting a bigger upset than the Dolphins beating Baltimore would be the Lions beating the Steelers. You're predicting that? Are you actually going to go out there and predict that the Lions are going to get their first win of the season and beat your beloved Pittsburgh Steelers?
Mason Rudolph. No, it's not going to happen. Steelers will win, but ugly and close. The defense will prevail. We're a terrible team.
We're terrible.
We're terrible.
Well, listen, a lot of experts have two that I've seen. They have declared that you should build your DFS lineups around Najee Harris today.
Okay,
so
that's fine.
Harris mania.
Build away.
How about Washington? Is Washington going to be a good pick? He's the WR3 now elevated to 2.
We're talking about
Pittsburgh.
James Washington.
Yes, James Washington.
I don't like anybody from that team today or ever actually
then
from
we'll
the Steelers.
On.
Yeah, I'm not. Listen.
All right,
we know who these teams are. The Steelers are terrible. They're a 5-4 terrible team. Their offensive line is terrible. They're scoring under 20 points a game.
All right.
You need points to generate points in fantasy. You got to have production on the field, and you got a backup quarterback who's terrible. Stay away from that team.
I believe you.
Let everybody chase Najee.
Well, let's move on then.
So, okay. Just one more defensive stat.
Okay.
The Browns have given up less than 20 points a game over the last 3 weeks. We mentioned how the Browns are trying to find or hopefully build off the identity of playing good defense and running the ball. Right. They did it last week, and they've done it over the last several weeks. So that's a big game for them. We'll go back to that game with them and the Patriots today. I think the Browns are by far a better football team on paper. They should win this game today because they're a better football team. It's going to be curious to see how that game plays out. If the Patriots win that game today, then I think Baker's finished. I'll ultimately do.
Finished.
Now finished. Done. Finished. It's not going to be because he lost to the Patriots. It's going to be because eventually you have to identify who you are. And they're going to have to look and see that we're in so many plus situations, but yet we don't come out ahead. And you have to eventually then point to who is touching the ball every single play. And
how do I get to be the glass half full guy?
Yeah,
about Baker Mayfield. Listen.
I'm just out on Baker.
I'm going to point to Kevin Stefanski and his excellent coaching staff. Okay, Stefanski is the missing ingredient. All right, he is the missing ingredient. And if they got to the AFC Championship, they were a couple of plays away from going to the Super Bowl, bro. Super Bowl.
I get it.
Okay? So,
if they played the Chiefs today, they'd beat them.
Exactly.
They're a better football
team.
So
I put it to you, why are you so pessimistic about Baker Mayfield? He is what he is.
He's a game manager.
Okay.
And it's tough to win
He's
the big game.
He's a better version of Kirk Cousins.
Be careful. I'm not even sure about that, honestly. I'm not sure.
Well, first of all, okay.
The numbers are comparable.
Right.
I've put them up, actually.
But here's a really scary thing for you. Okay, let's say that you're negative. Let's extrapolate your negativity. Okay, they don't extend Mayfield. If anything, they either trade or cut Mayfield, so they don't have to pay him for his 5th-year salary, his 5th-year option. That's the option. They can cut him. Okay,
Yeah.
you're gone. Okay, and they're going to clean house in Minnesota. That's just a done deal. Okay, Zimmer's going to be gone. They're not going to pay Cousins. He's going to be gone. Okay, they're going to clean house.
You got to see what's available, though.
They're,
I mean, for these
they're
teams.
going to clean house.
Maybe it's possible.
Okay,
It's possible.
They're going to clean
But,
house.
okay, back to Baker.
So where is Kirk Cousins going to go? Right to his old offensive coordinator, Kevin Stefanski. And you're going to end up with Kirk Cousins in Cleveland.
Which is an upgrade.
And it's going to be...
It's an upgrade.
I don't think so.
Listen, the team's been telling you now for the last 3 years who Baker is. Okay? They're telling you.
Oh.
Okay, not what you see on TV every day, but they're telling you that we're a running football team with all this talent, that in situations where we have to throw the football, ooh, look at Russell Wilson's finger. That's disgusting. Where we have
No
to
more
throw
TV for you.
Where we have to throw the football. I'm like a little kid. I'm like, what is that?
Stop watching TV.
They don't trust Baker Mayfield to run that team.
Oh,
okay,
my
they
God.
just don't.
They do.
Okay, whatever. If they win today, which they're supposed to win today because they're a better football team than the Patriots, then you can continue on the Baker train. But I'm telling you this.
I'm not on the Baker train.
If
I'm
they
just
go in there
telling
today
you.
in New England after the dominance they've had over the last 3 weeks, which has been defensive dominance, okay, and they need him to make a play today to win the game and he doesn't, then it's on Baker. And it's been on Baker, and it will always be on Baker. And therefore, I'm holding steady to what I'm telling you about Baker is that he's not your franchise guy, and they've told us that.
Oh my
So
God!
we'll see how that plays.
All
out.
right,
we got DFS.
Let me listen. Let me ask you this question. Okay, if you are a head coach, you are the president of an organization. Which do you prioritize first? A dominant defense, a dominant running game, or a dominant quarterback? Which do you priority first?
Quarterback. You have
Yeah?
to get your quarterback position right.
Okay, and what's number 2?
Everything else kind of finds its way. I'll use Russell Wilson as an example. Their defense has not been good in the last 5, 6, 7 years. They've been bad. Their running the football has been bad. Their O-line has been bad. Their receivers, granted, they've got Metcalf. Lockett's been stepped up the last year. Well, he's got huge
They have a
numbers.
good passing game. They have a quarterback that is excellent. He is elite.
That's the
But they
difference.
can't run the ball.
But
and their defense sucks.
and they've had success because of Russell Wilson.
But they're not going anywhere.
Now, how about this? Put a great running game behind a bad quarterback, and you're not going to win. Quarterback's the most important position on the field. If you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to win.
Listen, I don't disagree with that. All right. But we have seen dominant defensive teams with good running games win Super Bowls.
A few.
The
Bears, the
You think
Ravens.
the last Super Bowl that Brady won, they were a good passing team? No.
They were a good team.
No, they were a good team, and
Yeah.
they ran the ball
They did.
all over the friggin' place.
They did. But they
Okay?
also won with Tom Brady.
And they also had the nastiest defense.
Yeah.
They led the league in scoring defense. They had a defense that got you off the field. You may get 5, 6, 7 plays, but when it comes down to 3rd and 4 on their 40-yard line, they're going to stop you, and you're either going to have to try a ridiculously long field goal or punt. Okay, and that's all they did. It was nothing fancy. It was nothing schmancy.
Yeah.
They put Stephon Gilmore on your best guy. They had Patrick Chung ghosting the quarterback or whatever. But they just kept you out of the end zone and they got you off the field.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what they're doing now too. But my point is, you have to have a dominant defense. Okay, a dominant defense will change the game, and all you have to have is a mediocre quarterback to get a couple of first downs. And then if you got a good running game, like the Cleveland Browns do, an excellent running game, if you will, now they're 3 deep with their running backs.
Well, they were, but they're
Okay.
not. None of them are playing today.
Well, because Johnson's playing.
Yeah, Ernest, that's it.
Dearnest.
Dearnest.
You got to love a guy with an apostrophe in his name. All right, so there. I told you.
Baker
All right.
sucks.
So Baker sucks. All right.
Ben sucks, too.
So we're out. We're done?
We're
What is
done.
it, 12-10? 12-12?
Yeah.
Hey, will you look at that? You have any parting words?
I got a shitty lineup I got to
Oh, you got a shit up line? Oh, well, show us your shitty lineup.
I already told you. It's
Oh,
terrible.
okay, that's it?
Carson Wentz.
Oh, you just want to whine about it?
Yeah, it sucks.
Then change it to Dak Prescott.
I got to do something here.
Change it to Tom Brady.
I can't. Who?
Tom Brady.
No tampons.
No,
in my
no
lineup.
tampons. Okay.
No tampons in my lineup.
Go with one of the angry quarterbacks.
I don't know. All right, we got to figure this out.
Angry.
All right.
Got to go with the angry. All right.
See you, nice people.
Okay. Well, look at him. He said, "All right. Well, then on behalf of myself and the grouch across the fucking table."
I'm
from me."
angry right now. This
Angry,
lineup's getting me really
grouchy.
frustrated right now. I'm
All
not
right.
happy.
Well, and you'll change it 3 times.
I'm trying to
before you-
retire. All right. This is
Okay,
not retirement
that's
lineup
not
right
retirement.
here. No.
Well, I guess you're going to have to
Yeah.
sell some real estate now,
Yeah.
aren't you?
Boom.
Boom.
Drop.
All right. On behalf of myself and the MAZZ, that grouching, you can check him out at MLB Joy Us, which, by the way, free agency is starting
Yeah.
with the MLB.
F the Astros.
F the Astros. And, of course, you can search Gonzo Radio on any platform. Sorry about for those of you who are coming in through the Gonzo Radio group feed. It seems that Facebook is not getting along with my former my former website handle, which means that my web server, my webmaster has disconnected that. Our old handle. We are changing to the Gonzo Media Productions. Gonzo Media Productions is the parent company, and the Sports Desk and Gonzo Radio Show are all going to remain the same, but we are now moving to a more of a corporate structure. It's going to be Gonzo Media. So we'll get that. We'll get gonzomedia.com, and we'll get it to you as soon as possible. So we'll see you guys. Will we see you guys next week? Maybe. I think so.
I hope so.
What do you got planned for next week? No, next week is Sunday. It's not Thanksgiving. It's the week before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Oh, well, okay. See you next week. Say goodbye.
Bye.